Carlos Nelson with the Kansas City Business Association, and tonight we have a special guest, Mr. Dan Coffey with Citizens for Responsible Government. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing good, Carlos.
All right. Could you give our community a little update on what's happening with that airport?
Well, the thing about the airport is I'm not sure anybody in the public sector, like where we are, knows what's going on with that airport. I'm sure there are people in the city that do know, but
Give us an update from the first time that I had you really on the program about 2 years ago. You were talking about this airport.
Well, this all started. We heard that they were going to build a new airport at Kansas City. They were going to have a meeting. So several of our group went up to this meeting, and they were asking questions there. I'm trying to think, Russ Johnson was up there, and a couple council people, and they were talking about they're going to build this new airport at KCI that, it started off by saying that the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, wanted us to build this airport, and that they, in fact, would finance the biggest part of it, and so on and so forth, and that we're saying, well, why? They were going to tear down our existing airport. We thought, well, gosh, we really need that. And so we left from that meeting and went back as a group and started thinking about, too many people like that airport. Well, I don't know that we need to be tearing it down. So we started asking more questions, and we were eventually told that they were going to build that airport and there was nothing that we can do about it.
I'm more interested in the financial end of it, the price tag. What was the price tag? What did they promise? And where are we at on that right now?
The first meetings, when we first started going and talking about the financial side of it, the price tag was $1.2 billion, okay? And we kept saying, well, how did you come up with that? How did you come up with that amount? And it took about 6 months to finally get an answer. And the answer we received, and this came from the aviation director at the time.
And who was that?
Mark Van Loo.
All right.
And he said, we went to the banks, the finance people, and we said, here are the assets that we have in the aviation department at Kansas City International Airport. And they took a look at the assets we had, cash on hand, and the equipment, and the terminals, and everything, land. And they said, okay, with what you have, you can borrow $1.2 billion. And that's where the price of the airport came from the beginning.
All right. Now, where are we at now?
From there, when we raised, everybody started complaining about that, how high that was. It eventually tapered down to about $875 million.
What I'm trying to really get to was the bid process. It was this company. It was that company. It was now we've got everything in concrete, and the price is not going to go up. And the last time I looked at it, they were saying that the price was twice as much or something. And I'm just a average Kansas City consumer. I'm not looking at it from a media standpoint or anything. I'm looking at what I'm hearing on the news, and I'm like, how is this?
Here's where it is today.
All right.
There are two issues floating around City Hall. They're ordinances, 190027 and 190028.
Give us a little bit quick rapid on what that is.
Each one of those is asking for $2 billion to finance a portion of the cost of construction of a new passenger terminal and related purposes. That's $4 billion now they're asking for.
And where's that supposed to come from?
Bonds.
Oh, who's supposed to pay for that?
Well, they're going to go out and sell those bonds, supposedly. But if the city's going to issue them,
We're responsible for them.
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
I'm not that bright, but the city does it. The city got no money unless we're paying our taxes.
And
so ultimately, we're paying for it.
You will eventually. And so if the idea would be is that they will pay for these bonds with fees from the airport. They get parking and they get.
Right.
But the problem is we're financing so much in excess of what we already owe on the airport, and the finance charges we're already paying. Our people project that we're going to come up short every year.
Well, tell me this. Oh boy, let's move on. Hey, to my audience, you need to look into what's going on with that airport, because at the end of the day, the politicians, they're in office, they're out of office, and you're left with the price tag of these things.
In these bond ordinances, or that they're asking for this money, it says right on there that if at any time the net revenues aren't sufficient enough to pay for them, that the city council, for the purposes of making such payments, which are due and owing in such fiscal year, can take that money from any source they deem.
Right. Like the lottery, it was for the kids,
Yeah.
and now it pays for everything but education for the most part.
So to answer your original question, I don't know who knows what's really going on with the
All
airport.
right,
I can't see that.
let's move on to that hotel, because that was being dealt with at about the same time.
It's up and running, and these people were in town this last week, and they're very pleased with what's going on.
Tell our audience what I'm talking about, the hotel.
Well,
what the hotel.
We were against the hotel. The reason
Hyatt.
we were against it was a
Right.
it was a Hyatt property at the time. Now it's Lowe's in there now. The reason we were against it was they were taking $35 million from the city, and we couldn't see why, based on the research that we did for convention hotels, they are not doing well around the country, why we should risk that money from the city, and then also the city maybe get involved with a bond issue again there, and put the city at risk for possibly ending up owning that hotel. And it could happen before it's over with now.
Well, I was around when Barney Alice Plaza first started.
There you go.
And they had, I think it was called the Vista Hotel, and the transition, and it was going to be this and be that, and it didn't turn out to be any of that.
Where it is now, it's just going to be a matter of wait and see. I mean, the Lowe's people came in, they bailed out the Hyatt people, got them out of there. They took over the project. They're building the hotel now.
So citizen for responsible government. Can you speak for them? Where do they stand on the airport? Where do they stand on the hotel?
We believe that where the airport is concerned, that's not a done deal. That it's not too late for somebody. We hope that some of these.
Because they're talking about rebidding it on some of the programs that when I say they're talking about it, but it seemed like all of that for what? To come back to zero again?
I think that if I were in a position to see what's going to be done, I would seriously look at an in-depth remodel of the existing facilities. We've got an engineer who's shown us several instances where the current airport that we have is safer than the new airport. It's more efficient than the new airport.
I love the airport.
Everybody you talk to likes it. So why not? Why do we have to draw this line and say, nope, we're not gonna remodel it. We have to do it this way. I believe that's part of why it's stalled right now. It's the price tag. I'm hoping that the airlines, along with maybe some of these people that are running for office, will stand up and say, wait a minute. Everybody we talk to says we should look at remodeling that facility up there. Why don't we stop and do that?
Well, we're going to have that conversation with the candidates that are running. Now, another big project was that streetcar.
I've got a question for you. Tell me, we passed an ordinance in Kansas City, which is a law, saying that they couldn't expand that streetcar unless the people voted for it.
I think 109 people or something like that voted for it.
No, that was originally. This is a law that was just passed here last year that said that before they can do any further expansion on the streetcar, it had to go to a public
And so
vote.
what are they doing? Tell our audience. I'm
Now
not familiar.
they're talking about running it down to the river market.
Right, but I'm saying, have they complied with?
No,
All right.
not with a public vote. They're going to run it down to UMKC. They're going to try to do that.
To our listeners, did you hear what Mr. Coffey said? Repeat it.
Well, they're going. The plan is right now, seriously, to run the streetcar from Union Station down to UMKC, and then of course back to Union Station, and then also down to the river market.
Well, I want to know.
Neither
Cut you
one
off,
of
Cully.
those-
Cut you off real quick. what was the policy that they said that they were going to abide by before they did that? Let's get that straight.
Well, the law says that they have to put it to a public vote before they can do any additional expansion on the streetcar.
Do they have, to your knowledge, do they have any plans to put that to a public vote?
No.
All right. Audience, you need to, especially the African American audience, your taxes are funding these things, and if they put it in writing and it's a law and they're not adhering to it, I think you need to be talking to your prospective council people. You need to be writing to the mayor. You need to be talking to your public officials about them following the letter of the law when it comes to using your tax dollars for these big projects. And I don't believe that they're serving the African American community disproportionately for the money we're putting in and what we're getting out. Dan, are there any other issues that you see that Citizens for Responsible Government feels that we're getting a raw deal as citizens?
Well, you know, every time we turn around, it seems like they're talking about increase in taxes. Now the mayor's going to ask, I think, for a tax increase on this pre-K.
I'm not familiar with it.
I think he's talking about doing that, and that's.
And what is that about?
That's
Enlighten my
pre-K. It's a preschool for.
all
for
right,
kindergarten.
all right.
And my thought on that is don't we have enough programs between the Parks Department and the public libraries and these to kind of have a pre-K type program for our children
All
in this
right.
community?
Let me say this. I'm all for pre-K. I'm all for the education. But where I'm at on all of that, I feel that these corporations in this city, they need to step up to the plate for real. And they should be setting these things up. Not the taxpayers per se. We're paying enough that they're getting residual effect on them dollars on these bonds and all these projects that they have going on that we're really the underpinning. The city government, the county government, and some of the things that are going on in our school systems and general, they are not being good corporate, in my mind. Mm-hmm. They're not being good corporate citizens.
Well, my concern is for the kids. We've got these kids in school so much of their lifetime now that they don't have a chance to be kids. That's my opinion. And now we throw them in pre-K. They go to pre-K, they go to preschool, they go to kindergarten, and they start school. And I mean, they're there for, what, 20 years? All in school?
Well, that's what I remember we talked earlier about. I'm for creating some vogue techs and things of that nature. I came up, I had shop in my high school.
That'd be a great idea.
And I think I let you listen to the last new member of the Kansas City Business Association. He was talking about dielectric and that how when he was in 11th grade he vogue tech and he was and now he's employing people. He's paying $69 an hour.
To me, that type of educational program is a far better program than sticking kids in a classroom and force feeding them.
Right. I'm with you. Is there anything else that you would like our audience to know about with Citizens for Responsible Government? Because we're going to be having on What's Up Kansas City, not just the Kansas City Business Association. We're going to be having forums in our conference room, and we're going to be bringing individuals like you in and other organizations when we bring these politicians in to have a full-throated discussion if they accept on some of these issues and not just get these generic answers that they used to giving. Because where I'm at, I want to know what anyone that comes on our shows, corporate policy, what are you going to do for the African American community? That's what I'm concerned with. That's the community that has the most pain in my mind right now. Our neighborhoods are becoming gentrified, and we're still talking about these big projects for the overall Kansas City. And I think organizations like yours, watchdog organizations, they're very needed. And for some of you concerned citizens, these organizations don't work on empty. They work by your donations and your participation. Then how can people that are interested in working with your organization, donating time or money to your organization, contact you?
Well, we have a Facebook page, Citizens for Responsible Government, and they can contact us through that.
All right. Do you take donations?
We absolutely take donations.
All right.
We don't get very many, but we try.
Well, hold it. I think I'm out to John Kennedy School. Not what you can do for your country. I mean, what your country can do for you, what you can do, and you flip that to your community. What is it that I can do for my community? I came out of high school that had civics and things like that, and we don't have that to tell our kids, you have a responsibility to your community.
I hear you.
And you know, at both our age per se, not speaking totally for you, but it's not just our responsibility to do what we're doing in enlightenment. It's our young people's responsibility
Absolutely.
to get involved.
They need to get involved. It's their country. It's their future that we're talking about today. And that's what you asked me what they can do. That's what they can do. They can get involved. And don't be afraid when you see people or you go to a meeting or you're in a town hall or at a church and you got a candidate there talking about all the great things and all this pie in the sky, dreamy stuff. Stop them and ask them the tough questions. You know, what are they going to do about this? What are they going to do about crime? What are they going to do about this? What are they going to do about low-income housing? What are they going to do about health care? What are their thoughts on this? And just hit them with the hard questions. You know, what do you think about these giving away all this taxpayer money for these projects downtown, taking money away from the libraries and the schools and that kind of stuff? Ask them how they feel about that stuff. And if they don't give you the answer you want to hear, don't vote for them.
There we go. There we go. Don't let nobody tell you who to vote for because they're out there with these ballots. Do your own investigation into the candidates and the companies that you support. And I'm going to end this with, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. See you next time.
This program is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.